Welcome, wrestling fans, to another episode of Friday's Undercard. I'm John, and today we are bringing you a women's wrestling panel featuring 4 rising stars in women's wrestling: Madi Maxx, Hayden Ramsey, Ella Envy, and Kaitlyn Marie. We talk about their experiences as women in wrestling and how to make professional wrestling a better place for women wrestlers. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the interview. Okay, welcome everybody. We've got four wrestlers on. As I go across the screen, we've got Hayden Ramsey, Ella Envy, Kaitlyn Marie, and Madi Maxx. That's how I see you on my screen. How are one at a time? How are you? How are y'all doing today?
I'll go first. I'm doing good.
Okay,
sorry, Hayden. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Had a busy day, but that's cool. We're here now, and hopefully we can have a good, productive conversation.
I'm doing well. I'm a little tired from the weekend, but overall, I'm doing good. I'm tanner, got long hair, and I'm feeling good.
You look like $1 million.
Thanks.
She always looks like $1 million.
She probably has $1 million sitting in her.
Probably. I mean,
dresser,
she's
but-
rich.
I mean, I'm not gonna deny it.
Money moves.
Everyone else, how are they doing?
Yeah, how are you doing, Hayden?
I'm good. Just working in PT. That's about it.
Okay.
Pretty boring.
Yeah, you messed your knee up. We were talking about that before we sort of started the recording here. Last time I saw you, you were on crutches and had just broke your knee.
Yeah, I'm about 2 months out right now with PT. Got 6 months more to go of PT. And then hopefully 2021, I'll be back in the ring.
Okay. And how's Kaitlyn doing?
Oh, great. Just day drinking every day and
Tell me about
whole bunch of Trulies before this. I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So the reason I asked for everybody to come on is, I guess it was about 2 weeks ago, you started seeing, let's just pretty much everybody talk about different kinds of nonsense, from verbal all the way up to physical stuff that they've had to deal with in wrestling. And so I thought we could get a number of people on and basically talk about how to make pro wrestling better for women who are in it and want to get into professional wrestling. Just a quick raise of the hand. Who wants to go first?
I mean, I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
So whenever to address for girls who want to get into wrestling, I'm fairly new, very, very green. And I feel like something that somebody should know is that the wrestling business is very sexist. Whether that's hard for people to hear, or if they don't want to believe it, or people want to deny it, it's very, very sexist. And as a woman, it is extremely different in a locker room than it is being a guy. And what was your other question besides the what can we do?
How to make it better. So just real quick, not to interrupt.
You're
just
good.
A quick show of hands of the 4 of you that are on, who has been, I feel like I know the answer, who's been made to feel uncomfortable, unwelcome, something to that effect at a show, in a locker room, or elsewhere. Okay. That is sadly not shocking to me to see all 4 of you raise your hands. I don't think I have a unique group of 4 people on right now. I suspect that is nearly universal across the business. So sorry to interrupt, but go ahead.
You're fine. You're fine. If anybody else like wants to say anything, like they're more than welcome to jump in. But it caught my eye whenever you asked like what's something that people should know if they're looking in like to get to the business. Like it's very sexist, and you definitely are held to a different like accountability as a woman. And you're not always going to get the same respect from the guys as, you know, you would in other locker rooms or that they would give each other. We are treated very differently. But personally, I feel like something to make it better, I guess, would be, I don't know, I guess to just treat everybody like the same and get more opportunities, and to make us feel like we don't have to like show certain body parts or act a certain way to get these bookings. Like I would like somebody to want to book me off of my wrestling abilities rather than if I'm blonde or if I wear, you know, what kind of outfit I wear and stuff like that. I feel like making it better would definitely be understanding where we're coming from and, you know, trying to be different and to give everybody the same respect, regardless of what gender or race or anything that they are.
To kind of piggyback off of what Ella said, for me, I wear pants and I cover up pretty much everything. So for me, I'm a very conservative wrestler, and I've actually been told before that I should show more skin, I should be more sexy, I should have more of an appeal, it brings in money. I've been told by at least 3 guys off the top of my head when I'm just asking for advice of like, hey, how do I become more intriguing? How do I get on more shows? And they're like, well, you need to make money and sex sells. So, you know, there's kind of the writing on the wall. But me personally, that's not who I am, and nothing against anyone if, you know, they want to embrace their sexuality, but that's just not who I am personally. So for me, I completely agree with what Ella said. And also it's kind of, we've come a long way. Like I just watched, you know, an early 2000s wrestling show. So we've definitely come a long way, but we also still are sometimes just filling a demographic like, oh, we need girls on our show. So here's your 5 minutes, go have that show.
Yeah. Going off of that too, I remember when I first got into it, I was always told like, there's usually only one girl on the show. And so you were a special attraction. And so, it was just like, they might not have said to me, like, you need to wear this, but the way they went about it made it seem like because we were a special attraction, the kind of the sex self kind of thing. And so, I mean, I was 17 when I got in the business, and I was wearing things that I thought would get me bookings or like what I was supposed to be wearing, just because of this idea that pro wrestling was giving off about women at the time. And I agree with him a long, long way. Just in the couple of years, I've been wrestling for 5 years, and I think it's become it's tremendously different. But I think there's still a lot of improvement we can do, because your first thing you asked me, raise our hands. I mean, being uncomfortable as a woman in wrestling is not unheard of. I mean, it probably happens at every single show. Maybe it's not to you, definitely your competitor, somebody on the show, a ring announcer, a woman that's there. Something's happening, because I think, I mean, I love pro wrestling, but I think just the history of it, men are entitled to think that they are above us. And so us being the special attraction on their show, I think it's just a mindset a lot of them are in.
Yeah, also coming off that, the whole walk, like every time I've ever gotten feedback at a show, it's always been based on how I look. Like, oh, you looked really good in that match, or oh, you look really good in your gear. I've never had like, wow, that match was really good because of your mobility, or that move you did was crazy, or you're so powerful. It's always like something about your physicality, which I think is gross. Like, if you really want to have a conversation with me in the locker room, maybe come up to me and say like your match was sick because of the moveset you had, not be like, oh, you looked really good in your gear, that gear really fits your body well. Weird stuff like that.
Yeah. And also, I think like the guys, if you do ask them for feedback and they comment on your body, they also would hit you against the other woman that talk about it's good, but you should do what she's doing. Like, it's not because her moves are better. It's look at her gear, look at what she's wearing, look at how many people follow her, things like that. So I think the business does try to pit you against other women, and so I think that's also a way that guys are in the mind that they are, is because we're just, I guess, as women, programmed maybe or conditioned to constantly compare ourselves to the next woman who's showing more skin or the next one who's doing this, and the guys feed off of that. And also, I want to make something clear. If, like, you are a girl in the business and you feel comfortable showing all that skin, then by all means do it. We're not talking you down for anything. We're just saying, like, personal stories that we've had men tell us if we were showing more skin, we would be in different places. Or, I mean, my very first uncomfortable experience in wrestling was, I was literally 17 years old and this guy pulled me outside a locker room and tried to kiss me, and like, it was very weird. And so that's why I have the opinions I have about things. But I mean, if you have that kind of confidence and everything like that, then we're all for it. It's not saying you can't do it. It's just our personal experiences are what they are.
Yeah, like, do it for, you don't feel, or like, I know I'm a bigger girl, but I'm confident, so I'm not against showing, but I don't think I show it. I won't ever like show anything more because someone else tells you to be confident in you, but also don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. If somebody says something out of line, call them out. I'm the first one to do it. I don't care who you are. I'd rather not get a booking and be able to tell someone how I feel than to like get bookings but then be treated appropriately or have people feel like they can treat you a certain way or say certain things to you. So that's like the big, like, have a voice and don't be afraid to call people out.
But Maddie, that was a really good point, what you were talking about, like, obviously, like, being compared to like the next girl. And it's like, I've had, like, you know, interactions and stuff like that. I've had situations where, like, it's not even about what I wear in the ring, but like, it's like somebody always has something to say about what I even wear to the shows. Like, I feel like I can't wear Nike shorts or like just something like 90 degrees out and I can't even wear shorts because of the fear of being called a whore, or, oh, she's asking for it, or, oh, she's just trying to get attention of all the boys in the locker room. Because like you said, like, usually women's matches are like a specialty, so there's usually maybe at most 4 girls in the locker room, like, maybe. And so like, it's just like, they always, it's either you're showing too much or you're not showing enough, and it's very exhausting. Like, it's very exhausting, and it's just like, somebody always has an opinion on it and you're never going to do the right thing. So to go back on what Kaitlyn says, like, just do you, and like, honestly, like, who cares what anybody says, because at the end of the day, like, it is your body. It's just, it's a very difficult situation, because like, you're always being judged and talked about and looked at. And but another thing, and I don't mean to get off topic here, and I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but I feel like in the locker room, like I said, like, you really are viewed as objects. And I feel like a lot of the guys in the locker room are like, oh, you should show more skin, and they don't give you like the respect unless they're trying to like flirt with you, if that makes any sense. Like, they don't actually care, like, they just want to flirt with you. And then usually, like, when they get rejected, they get really upset, and then that's when they start like calling you a whore and saying all these things. I don't know if anybody else has experienced that, but that's just something that I have experienced in almost every single locker room I've been in.
Yeah, I feel like guys need to understand, like, when we come to shows, we come to wrestle. We're not looking for a husband. So how about, like, instead of trying to, like, pull your dick out and show, like, how cool you are, like, treat us like every other wrestler and know that we're not here to flirt with you. You're flirting, it's making us uncomfortable. I 100% promise you, like, we're wrestle, so treat us like every other wrestler.
And especially the whole thing that you just said, Ella, like, I will be blunt, I have never dated, I've never kissed, I've never done anything with anyone in the wrestling business, and like, people will still talk about you in a way that's not even true. Or if you do deny a guy, they get so butthurt that they start rumors about you. I had one guy that I no thank you, right? And he would go up to my opponent at shows and tell them, like, I'm so sorry that you have to wrestle Maddie, like, she's awful, because I didn't like him in that way. And, like, we're your coworkers at the end of the day. You wouldn't do that if you were in the office building trying to get with the woman that sits next to you at a desk, so don't try to get with us in the locker room.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I just, like, I don't think people realize that women, like, genuinely have a love for the sport of professional wrestling, and we aren't there for a husband. We aren't there for your compliments. We're not there for your cat calls. We're there to chase a dream just like everybody else is. And no, yeah, you're right. Like, people really do get butthurt, and it's like, I just don't understand, like, why people think that even, like, a locker room is a good place to find somebody, because it's not. Like, we're here to work. Like, I'm sorry, but if I wanted to, like, you will know if I want to be with you. Like, I'm a confident woman, like, I will make that known. So do not
let us come to you.
Yes, like, do not come up to me and, like, start flirting with me and be like, oh my God, Ella, like, you're such a good singer. Like, I know. Like, I already know that. And if I want you, you're gonna know. I'm gonna sing for you. Like,
amen.
Point blank, period. Like, stop trying to, like, flirt with us at wrestling shows.
Yeah.
And I think the mindset that we all have too, like, being women in wrestling is great. Although I've only been in it in 5 years, I think it's changed so much when I first started. Like, going back to what we talked about earlier, being uncomfortable, like, getting bookings and, like, holding your tongue because of the way promoters were talking to you. And I think women's wrestling has evolved so much that now there's support from other women, which I had before, but now it's so actively there. I had my coach and then, like, 2 people that I trusted, and they were all guys. Like, there were no girls I could come to. And now I just think us women have united, and we know yes and no. And I think people are realizing, like, don't F with girls, because they will blast you on everything and you will be exposed. So I think we are starting to get the respect. It just kind of sucks that, you know, it kind of had to come from threats and us, like, speaking out. And this thing that's been going on social media, I think it's great. It's just unfortunate that so many women have a story, but it just shows you, like, how backdated it is too. Like, years girls have held their tongues, and now they finally feel safe. I'm glad they feel safe. It's just, this should have been a long time coming. It's something that should have been done already.
No,
So,
I agree.
Something I was going to say back to Ella's point is that what I'm seeing is, like, if a lot of girls are getting called up, like, let's say they weren't on, like, a big show beforehand, but then they get this big opportunity. It's like, oh, well, who did she sleep with to get this opportunity?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm seeing a lot of. Or if you did want to have a relationship with someone in the industry, even though you're a wrestler, you're called a rat. So.
Or you're using the name to get you somewhere, which is annoying.
Or you simply go to training, put in the work everybody else does, keep your personal life out of wrestling, and you're still called a rat. Like, but no, Hayden, that was a good point. Like, people just always have something to say. Like,
everyone
always.
just, like, undercuts everyone's success, and it's annoying.
No, yeah, and also, I've also realized, like, you can't talk to anybody. You can't have male friends. Like, I literally have been accused with sleeping with every single person at my training school just because I've had a simple conversation with them. And you can't even walk into shows with people without them being like, oh my God, are they banging? Like, but even if I was, like, that's still that's my business. Like,
yeah, like, I'm just so amazed every day, like, how people feel like my life is their business, and, like, they stress about it. Like, I'm not even stressing about it, and you apparently know more about me than I know me, which is shocking. Yeah, people say, no matter what you do, you could be literally the most person, and they'll come up with something because they're just bored. It's stupid. Guys are stupid.
Yeah, but it's, like, also going back on being called a rat, like, that is something that, I mean, I started wrestling, like, when I was 18, and I mean, I'm only 18. Like, people are like, oh yeah, that's an adult, but that's still very, very young. I still had not been exposed. I was a freshman in college. Like, and I mean, I'm just sitting here being called a whore and a rat just for all these things. But I've also noticed that the guys that call you a rat are the ones that try to sleep with you and try to hit on you in the locker room. And then when they don't succeed, that's when they're like, nah, man, like, she belongs to the streets. Like, that is a whole rat right there. So that's just something that I like have always like had a problem with. And it's made me extremely self-conscious about everything that I do, everything that I wear, everything I say, how I talk to people, my body language, if I touch them or not, like every single thing somebody like feels like they should comment on. And it's made me so self-conscious. And going back to like what Maddie said, like wrestling or like women's wrestling, like the history, like I remember when I first like wanted to get into it, and I had a friend and he looked me dead in the face. He was like, some people believe that women don't belong in wrestling and you're just gonna have to sit there and say okay, and yes sir, yes ma'am. And like they said, like going back to what Maddie says, like I think that's amazing that we do have all these like women now, and like we really are supporting each other. And like you guys like have made it okay for me to be like, no, like I'm not gonna do this to get a booking, or I'm not just gonna be nice to you, like, or like do not touch me, like when you walk behind me, like don't grab my waist type of thing. Like this whole, I think what we're doing right now is a really good thing to bring awareness to women in the wrestling business, because like Kaitlyn said, like, and Maddie said, you don't have to be like this perfect thing that everybody wants you to be, because you're not going to gain respect like that. People are going to respect you if you're upfront and you like, if you make them respect you. So to any of the girls that are like watching this that want to get into wrestling, like Kaitlyn said, do not be afraid to say no, because it is your body, it is your choice, and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody says, and don't give a damn about like what anybody thinks of you.
It's actually, like, respect wise, like me and Ella had been at a show where the trash bag thought he like had the right to go outside and yell at her about something.
Mm-hmm.
That was just insane. I wasn't there when it happened, and I heard about it, and you best believe after that show, this guy got a mouthful. Like, I even just sexually, like, just don't talk to us kind of way. Like, I know I've gotten to it with other guy wrestlers. Like, you guys, like, I have my mother, or I have children, but you talk to us a way you would never want a man to speak to your daughter, your sister, your mother. So it's like, have the same respect for us you'd want someone to have for your children, your mother, or your wife. And if not, I'll call you out.
My blank period.
I think women now in wrestling, like these days, I think we're creating an environment for the next set of women who are going to step wrestling that is comfortable, and they're going to feel safe. Because I remember not even too long ago, when someone from a company that's higher up talks to you, you kind of feel awkward if they're flirting with you, not to flirt back. Like, you feel like they're going to slander your name, or they're going to talk down to you. And I think with everyone speaking out, and like what we're doing here is really great, because the next girl who's stepping in, who's 17 or 18 years old and getting into it, she's going to see all these women who worked hard to get where they're at, and all these stories about all this out, and they're gonna know it's okay, even if someone is at the top of the wrestling food chain. It's okay that you're not interested in them. They don't get to talk to you in a way that's degrading your character or anything like that. So I think women now, we're empowering each other, but we're also creating an environment that's safe for the people who are gonna fill our shoes.
Yeah. And back to the story about Ella, I mean, I think it's kind of becoming more of a unity. Like, if you're in the locker room or if you're at a show, if someone messes with one of the girls, the other girls are quick to jump on. And to their credit, there are some guys that will also jump on board and help out. But the problem is that, back to your original question of what we can do, I think is just getting all of the guys to be on board on the same page, because there are some good guys out there that do protect us and do go out of their way to make sure that everyone's okay. But it's just going to take everybody kind of being on the same page, and it's going to take the guys calling the other guys out.
Exactly. Even if
Period.
like, if that's your boy and you know he's doing some sketchy stuff, don't be like, I mean, him not to do it, but he's going to do what he does. Like, no, you like check your friends. I've heard so many guys say like things about their friends or shitty things their friends have done, and it's been like, I mean, I told him not to. I mean, we tried to talk to him, it doesn't get through his head. Like, no, be like addressed. Not like, oh, I guess it's just does. That's it. No, like check friends. Stop worrying about losing friendships and worry about like having like pride in yourself. You're a decent person.
It's always funny when the guys are like, yeah, if you ever have an issue, come to us, we'll solve it. You go to them and then they don't do anything.
Or make jokes about it.
Or they don't believe you. Like, so-and-so would never.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just the way he is. He's just kidding.
Or it's boy talk, or boys will be boys.
You're just one of the boys.
That is a good point.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But I do have to give like credit where credit is due. My trainer, LeBron Cozone, I have always been able to talk to him and like just be honest with him. And I remember, I mean, can't believe I'm exposing myself, but I mean, like, I have been called a rat just so many times to the point where I've just been crying in his office about it. And so at Firestar Pro Wrestling, he no longer allows the word rat to be used, considering the fact that we have a good amount of girls now to start a women's division. And LeBron Cozone does not put up with that BS. He literally was like, you're no more calling people rats here. So I do have to give credit where credit is due. But if everybody could be like that, I think women's wrestling would be less of a headache. For sure.
I think it goes back to the other thing too. It's about like promoters or like school making their like shows comfortable for everyone. Like if you're booking people who have been like constantly had complaints about, that people are uncomfortable, like, make sure going out of your way to make everyone comfortable, because it's your responsibility coming and working your show, collection of you. So I think it's important your way to make sure that everyone's comfortable. There isn't that harassment or thing going on. And if you hear something, address it. Don't let it be one of those things like, oh, not my between wrestlers, they can solve it.
Does anyone have anything specific else that you want to add? I was trying to get through as much of this as possible without actually having to say anything, because the point is for y'all to talk, not for me to talk.
I guess the more of all of this, I'm glad we did a panel just so women from different parts of the wrestling scene could talk it out. I guess all we're asking is just do better. I mean, treat us like your coworkers, treat us with respect. We do what you do. You're not above us. I can do every move you can do. All these women can do every single thing you can do. And guess what? We sell more tickets than you. So be nice to us. Treat us with respect. That's literally all we're asking.
Go ahead, Maddie. Go ahead.
That is all we're asking for.
Maddie's TED Talk. Okay.
I mean, you guys know it's true. I mean, they come to see us.
No, yeah, they really do. That's why they always put the women on the front of the posters.
Yeah, that's why we're big and they're little.
Yeah. But yeah, to make women's wrestling better, stop objectifying women, treat us with respect, treat us like you would your homeboy, and stop sticking up for your homeboys when they make us uncomfortable.
And when you do that, you're making wrestling better, because when we're asking you for advice and you're giving us actual advice, you're making us better, which in return makes the next one better. Like, you're just making wrestling overall more enjoyable for everyone who's a part of it. And you're just, I mean, like, if we're coming to you for advice, obviously we value what you think. So don't make us regret even asking you, or make us have a bad taste in our mouth every time we hear your name or anything like that. Like, take us asking you as we respect your opinion, and since we respect you, respect us.
Yeah. Another thing is, when we do come and like ask for guys' advice, like, please don't take that as us hitting on you.
Yep.
If I'm hitting on you, you're gonna know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you would trust me. Ella Envy has confidence, baby, and she will let you know. She will get what she wants. Like, and you're not it. I hate to break it to you. Like, but yeah, like, don't take us like trying to sleep with, like, don't take us coming to you for advice, like, as us wanting to sleep with you, or us, like, trying to be flirty, or just anything like that. Because at the end of the day, like, these problems, I feel like they do come from men objectifying women and not taking women's wrestling seriously. And not, like, understanding and respecting the fact that we want to be here to be in that ring, not to be talked about in the back, or talked to like that in the back.
And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but, like, I already get enough crap from people that aren't in the business. I don't need it from people in the business. Like, when I'm there, I'm doing what you're doing. We're doing the same thing. We love the same thing. Don't make it harder on me.
100%.
Another point I just thought about is if we can get all the guys on the same page, then maybe the fans will come along as well, because I have had very weird fan experiences. I'm sure you guys have. People, like, I remember taking a picture with a guy and his hand, like, went straight on my butt, and I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. And I, being me, didn't say anything and just kind of took it with a grain of salt and kept moving. But that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. If we can get the other wrestlers on board to say, hey, this is how you should be treated and how you shouldn't be treated and how all of us should be handled, then when something happens like that with a fan, they know, hey, bro, like, you crossed the line, like, chill out. And I think that also is something that needs to be said. It's not necessarily just the workers, it's also sometimes the fans.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
If we have give you the common courtesy of being contacted with us on social media, don't, like, Facebook call Messenger.
Oh my God, yes.
Repeatedly.
Yes.
If I didn't answer
Don't
the first
find our
time,
personal
I'm not gonna
accounts
answer.
either.
Yeah,
Maddie, seriously though, do not find our personal accounts and start messaging me and sending me pictures of your pee-pee. Like, I don't want that. Like, I literally do not want that.
that's another. My mom has literally told me people have messaged her telling her that they're in love with me. Like, Glenda will put you on the spot in a second, your spot up. So stop doing it, because it's weird. And just get blocked.
There was a guy at a show who went up to my mom and told her she had nice feet and asked if he could kiss him. Like, don't do that
Oh
either.
my God.
Like, that's my mom.
Jesus.
I
Like,
bet
how-
the Cuban in her, like, clicked in real quick. Like, real quick, because I would have.
What do you even do in that situation? Like, thank you? She didn't let him kiss him, by the way. I just wanted to
That's good.
I'm so glad you clarified. I was a little concerned there.
Maddie, just let him take a picture and then charge him later.
Yeah.
I gotta teach her the ways.
Nah.
Mama Max. Making money moves. We love that.
How do you think we have a nice house? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Seriously, I love that. But yeah, do not find our personal accounts. Do not do that. And if no, because it's personal for a reason. But Hayden, like, I'm really sorry that happened to you, but these fans are, like, insane. And I think you made a really good point. I think that goes back, even though it's not just the workers, I feel like they still set a tone for the whole environment. Because, I mean, I have had people at shows who literally have just come up and been like, can I have a picture with you? And I'm like, yeah. And they, like, go straight for my boobs. And I'm like, I don't know what you think this is. Like, this is not that kind of wrestling. Like, hello, yeah. I will put you in a figure 4 leg lock right there.
And they're always, like, super creepy, like, ugh. And don't get me wrong, like, I like taking pictures with fans. Like, that's not the problem. The problem is, like, when there's a way to do it and not be creepy about it. That's all I'm saying.
So, even though Sadie is not on this call, she has given me great advice. And, like, she's like, oh, like, don't ever let them grab you in certain places. Like, don't put your arm around them. Like, make sure you definitely, like, show where it's, like, you know, space in between them. But at the same time, it's like, that's wonderful, and I do need to protect myself, like, as a woman. But at the same time, educate your sons. I saw this the other day. It was like, do not protect your daughters, educate your sons. educate everybody. It is not okay to touch anybody without their consent. And I cannot stress that enough. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, it all starts like within.
Yeah,
like,
I do
it's just, it's insane.
my arm, shoulder, my hip, so they physically can't touch. And that's the point it's getting. I mean, no one's ever tried. I would break someone's hand right then. But like, if you're that upset, buy her 8x10s. You can like hug her. Like, baby, you can do that all day, every day. I don't care what you do with her when she, like, physically. I'm telling you now, to a show and try to touch her inappropriately, I will probably.
Literally, though.
100%.
Yeah, like, well, so Maddie, I know you've done a lot of, like, you do a lot of in-ring photo ops at Queens of Combat, and obviously I know Zane would not allow any inappropriate touching or anything like that. And that's kind of the point what I'm saying, we need more guys like him, because even, not like bragging about Zane, but even when I was in New York City for WrestleCon and I had a really creepy guy, like, he came down and like sat next to me, like told the guy, he's like, dude, you need to chill, like, go away. So, like, do you ever have those experiences with those fans at all?
Kind of, but I stay very much in character when I do sell my pictures, and so I'm more vocal about situations like that. But I do know there's been like situations before I even was comfortable with the character where I was like awkwardly smiling, or it's not even that guys will touch you, they'll say things to you, and it's like, what the fuck? Sorry.
Yes.
Can I say that?
You did.
What am I supposed to say to that when you're telling me these weird things? Like, cool, thank you, I'm not flattered, I'm disgusted. Or they like don't get the hint. Like, I'm not there to talk to you when there's a line of people, and I'm not there for you to get a fantasy filled or anything like that. They just, sometimes they just don't take a hint, so you just stand there awkwardly, letting them talk to you. But I agree on the Zane part. Like, Zane is amazing. I don't know if you saw what he posted in the locker room, but ever since like all these women have been coming out, I mean, I'm sure it shocked the world with these stories. Some people that got called out you would never think in a million years. And Zane went above and beyond to make the women at Queens of Combat feel so safe. He sent us a message about how things are going to be changing. Some people won't be coming back because of the stories. Like, he's seen things like that. He's made sure that our locker room is 100% women only. He's done amazing things. I think a lot of people in the business can learn from that, because he is taking a stand with us and he's protecting us. And that's what, it's not that we need protection, but like, it is nice to have men on your side as well.
No, that's a really good point, because that's what Hayden was saying earlier. Like, it all starts within the locker rooms. Like, it starts with these guys, like, recognizing these behaviors are not okay and they do make people uncomfortable, and like fixing them and calling people out on them.
And also, that's the point that I thought of. If somebody comes to you and says something has happened to them, don't make them feel crazy about it. Because I feel like the biggest thing, like, every liar, unless they have like, I know I had a situation with probably the most trusted indie wrestler in the indies, 100%. And I know people on the call know about it. And it was just one of those things that if I said this on social media, I mean, I've talked to them privately and it was solved, but if I said that on social media, 110%, everyone would blame me, say, you're lying, what'd you do? That would never. And because there's no notoriety, and he's so known and so well respected. So if some girl says someone did something to them, trust that they say it. They're like, oh, well, like, yeah, you have a penis, so maybe he isn't trying to die. But if a girl is getting comfortable and something has happened to them, like, support them. And like, I get the whole like not pointing fingers. Don't make it be like, well, you're telling the truth, you have to be lying. He would never, because it's the people you don't expect are probably the creepiest ones.
Yeah, Kaitlyn, like, I think just like knowing you and stuff like that, and like knowing the situation, like if you were to like come forth and be like, this happened to me, I 100%, everybody would be pissed at you. They'd be like, oh my God, Kaitlyn, like, I can't believe you ruined my favorite wrestler for me. And it's like, newsflash, honey, like, he's playing a character. Sorry. Like, that, you don't know the real them, is what I'm saying. Like, you don't know anybody behind closed doors. And I mean, even people, like, outside of wrestling that have been, like, you know, like, gotten in trouble and called out for sexual assault. Like, people are like, oh my God, like, I just can't believe, like even like the whole Bill Cosby thing, not to like compare it to that, but like so many people were like, oh my God, I just cannot believe like Bill Cosby would do that. Like, no, honey, like you only know him from a show. Like, you don't know him in real life. And that's just, it's so disgusting.
I think there's a common misconception about the fact that if a woman is promiscuous and does enjoy like being with guys, just like guys are praised for, then when something like this happens, it's like, oh, did it really happen? Or are you just saying that now?
Are you sure you am on? Like, please.
Right. It's kind of like, are you asking for it?
Yeah. Like, I know specifically, I have, like, if you ask me a question, I'm so honest. I'm very open. I don't feel like I need to hide anything. So if I'm telling you I didn't do something, maybe just believe it. I don't like a lot of it. Like that's not attention I want. Like, it's not like, oh, I was abused by someone or someone did something to me inappropriate. Like, that's not a cool story to brag about. Like, I'm not gonna post that online. Like, look at, like, that's something that, like, hard to say, and it's super weird to open up. So we aren't doing this for clout. Like, it does nothing for our career to be like the girl that assaulted or did something inappropriate with, because that's become labeled.
And to piggyback off of that, it's not like it would really do any good anyway, because I see a lot of girls speaking out and they're just getting like ridiculed right back. Oh, are you sure you didn't want this? Like, why are you speaking out now? This happened 10 years ago. Why are you speaking out now? Like, they don't understand that sometimes, like, especially as women, when this stuff happens, you have to internalize that trauma, and it really takes a long time to like come to terms with what happened. And I think they think that, oh, because now all of a sudden this wrestler has made it somewhere, or is getting some more notoriety, that's the reason you're coming out and saying it. And they're not really taking into consideration the fact that a lot of women have to process everything. And then it takes a lot for them to come out and say something. And when they do and not be believed, I mean, it's just an endless cycle.
Also, the notoriety thing, like, people probably wait to say something because it's either something they've buried away, so it's they think about until they start seeing this person on their feed all the time, or it's something like they see this person being celebrated knowing that guy's a trash bag. So it's not even like a thing of like girls are waiting to, like, because they're just saying something now because this person's made it. No, these girls saying something now because they want you to know what kind of person you're celebrating.
Mm-hmm. To go back off what Hayden said, like, but Kaitlyn, that was like a very, very good point. Like, I think like people need to know like what kind of douchebags these people really are. But shoot, I'm so sorry. I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. Hayden, can you repeat what you said one more time? Because I had it. I was like, this is really good,
What?
And then I like overthought it, and I'm like, oh, I can't remember.
Which part?
Girls need time to process what's
Oh yeah,
happening.
so like,
Yes.
yeah, like,
Yes. Okay, I'm so sorry. Yeah, like, thankfully I've never really like been assaulted physically by anybody like in the locker room, but like people don't realize that like words really do hurt. And like I had mentioned earlier, like even the whole rat thing, like, I mean, I'm sitting there, 18 years old, like being called a whore and a rat, like, and I'm like, I didn't even do anything wrong. And it's just like, you have to deal with that. And it's like, there was trauma in that. I mean, like, I'm constantly overthinking everything I do, and I'm apologizing all the time for just being me in the locker room. And it's like, there's legit trauma. Like that stuff really messes with your head. Like, just even the smallest things, and it makes you overthink it, because a woman in wrestling, every single little thing you do or wear or say is noticed and it's remembered. So I think that was a really, really good point. Like, even outside of wrestling, like there is real trauma in the way that we are treated, and everybody takes their own personal time to deal with that. And so anybody who ever says the bullshit, sorry, that's like, oh, why is she coming to speak out now? It's like, don't, just stop saying that all entirely. Like that is really something that men can do to help the women in wrestling. Stop saying that.
100%.
Just, oh, but yeah, that was a really good point.
To add a little bit from the sort of a different side of it, when I lived in New York City, I was actually a victim advocate, so I went into the hospitals, and that was something that we had to, you had to figure out, like, where, I mean, this was, generally speaking, the person that you were sitting in there with, I mean, this thing, they'd been assaulted within probably a day, and so I saw all sorts of spectrums as far as where they were, as far as being able to handle or even process what had happened. There was one that this was the second time this person had been assaulted, and the first time they didn't even go to the hospital. They were like years apart, but you know, so it's not uncommon. And then the whole thing where everybody wants to bring up, like, why come out now, or it's fake or whatever. Rapes are not, and assaults are not falsely reported any more than any other crime. It's, yes, there are occasions where it is. Those are very, very few and far between. People don't make this stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're always gonna have, like, the one bad apple in the bunch, like the one girl that got mad at so and so and like wants to ruin him. Like, there's always gonna be someone like that. But for 99% of it, it's gonna be real. Like, what girl wants to go out and say, "Hey, so and so sexually assaulted me"? Like, that makes, I mean, like, in my personal, like, sick mind, it makes me, like, feel bad that I'm speaking out, you know, like, I feel like I'm guilty, like I did something wrong if I were to speak out, you know. So I think that there's always going to be the bad side of it, but the majority of it is going to be authentic. And like you said, like, what girl is going to really want to come out and say, hey, this tragic thing happened to me, and share it with the world?
Yeah, I just to speak out, like I said, I've never really been like assaulted like in the locker room, but like even like Maddie knows firsthand. I mean, her and I both being in college and like in a sorority and stuff like that, like at these parties, like I've been assaulted at these parties, and it's like and it took me a really long time to like come forth and like say something about it, for like the fear of like people thinking that I'm vulnerable and like that they can just do it again. If that makes any sense. But moral of the story, like, I'm just to go back on like my thing, I am lucky that I did speak out about it, and I like talked to the police about it, and the guy who sexually assaulted me got kicked off campus because after I came out, 9 other girls had come out and reported it. So thankfully, like, I finally got the courage to speak up. But I mean, it's hard. Like, everybody has their own reason as to like why they don't want to speak up, and it's, yeah, I mean, it you feel like you did something wrong. Like, that's not something that I'm like proud that happened to me, but I don't let it define me. But like, I'm not proud that that happened, and for a really long time I was like disgusted with myself, and I felt disgusting, and I hated myself after that. It was just, it's not usually the people who do speak out, like they are telling the truth. Like, I mean, it is hard to tell, but usually they're telling the truth, because it's not something that people just make up or like are proud of or think that it's cute or anything like that.
Yeah, like, you're going off what you said. When I had my situation happen, I mean, obviously it was like it took me over like almost a year, I would say. I'm not sure when I'd say about a year for me to even like call out the person, because it takes you like when it happened and you're processing like you, but it's also a thing of like you blaming yourself, because you're like, why didn't I say something when it happened? Why didn't I react different? Did I do something that made that person feel like that was okay? And you like blame yourself for a very long time, because you think, especially like me, like I'm so vocal and I'm always like, to say something, but in that I was just paralyzed and just like, I wouldn't say fear, but just in like a genuine shock that had happened. And like I said, it took me a year to even process like the fact that myself, like, this person made me feel bad about myself because I didn't react differently, or I didn't make a mistake. So it's there's nothing wrong with it. And again, I like but if you want to call someone out, like, do it. Like, don't feel like you, like, protect that other person because they obviously didn't protect you. They like took advantage of you. So yeah.
I definitely think like we as women that try to be strong and try to have this rough exterior, we like to think that when something like this happens that we know how we would react and we're not going to let this happen. And we like, that would never happen to me. Like, why didn't she fight back or whatever? But when it actually happens, you just freeze, kind of like what Kaitlyn said. So like you mentally try to prepare for it, but you really can't.
Yeah.
That's very true. We don't like.
How do you prepare for it?
Yeah.
How do you prepare for that? Yeah.
And it's sad that we have to prepare for that.
Yeah.
But to go back on like the whole freezing up thing, like I know it's like super easy, you know, easier said than done to like somebody be like, oh, if anybody ever touches me, like I'm beating the crap out of them, like, or I'd love for somebody to try to like, you know, get up on me like that or whatever. But it's like when you're sitting there like in that situation, like one wrong move, you don't know what they're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a lot easier said than done in these situations.
Ella, stop turning red.
No, stop. Hating because like you're looking at me and I'm like, oh my god. I'm like But yeah, shit's real. And 1 in 4 women are I think it's 1 in 4 women. I know 1 in 4 women, they're assaulted in some shape or form. Almost every single woman anybody has come in contact with has probably either been raped, sexually assaulted in any like kind of form. Like it's very common.
Mm-hmm. And I used to know the stats like really well right off the top of my head, but it's of that 1 in 3, it's maybe like 1 in 50 that really gets any sort of justice out of it.
I think it's also important to note, like within the wrestling world, I don't think it's as much physical sexual assault as it is more vocal or emotional.
Mm-hmm.
What is the actual term? Emotional
abuse.
Verbal? That's the word.
Verbal abuse.
For women,
College
I feel
education.
like there are those instances where it does get physical, but for the majority of the time, I feel like it's more of a verbal thing where men think they can say these things to us and get away with it or talk to us a certain way. For me, like I've never had any physical altercations, but I have numerous times where unsolicited wiener pics come to me or messages that you're just like, what is going through your head? Like, why would you ever say that to anybody in the world? And like, sometimes they're ballsy and they'll say it in person. So I think, one, for the women who are speaking out in the wrestling world, people should be giving them a round of applause because, like you said, Ella, like you spoke out and then 9 other girls came forward. Mm-hmm. Imagine being those 9 girls and no one ever comes forward and you aren't there yet to come out, but these girls who are coming out, you don't know how many girls they're coming out for. And so I think we should, women right now are very supportive. I think the world and the wrestling industry needs to be supportive as well and recognize these women are being brave and they're being strong, and their story is just one of who knows how many off the same person. And I think men need to get over it. Like, people are getting so mad, like, he would never do this, blah, 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 blah. Well, he did. And that's how it is, and that's how it's going to be from now on. So just recognize these women are being strong, and it took them a long time to come for it. It's not like it happened the next day they're tweeting. you read them, it's like, it's taken me forever. Like, it's been 5 years, it's been this many years, it's been this many months, and then this many incidences. So, and like, also, I've seen a couple stories where women have came forward and these guys are dating these other girls, and the girls see these stories and they're like, thank you guys, I had no idea. And like, they're breaking them up, but it's because the guy that they're with is a piece of shit. So like, you're helping another girl in the long run. So at the end of like this panel, and the end of, well, there's not going to be an end of this revolution, but at the end of this panel, I hope that people just realize that we're not being malicious. We're not coming after guys because it's a guy's world in wrestling. Like, we're coming forward because we want to be a part of the wrestling world, but we want to be a part of the wrestling world where we feel comfortable, and we feel respected, and we feel like equals, and not like candy or object. Gosh, I just go on real rants.
No, we love the TED Talk for real.
Yeah.
Like, you're speaking straight facts here.
Maddie,
Yes,
when's your next session?
We need to normalize saying no. I don't know if you just asked Maddie something and I just like talked over it, and if I did, I'm really sorry.
No, you're
But-
fine. I just said, Maddie, when's your next session?
No, for real, we need to tune into these
Get me
weekly.
heated.
Hello. But yeah, normalize saying no and sticking up for yourself in the locker room.
Hashtag no. Let's do that. Hashtag normalize no. Did we just start something?
God!
Just start
You
a
just got $1
trend.
million, Maddie. I think you just got another $1 million right there.
But that was your idea. I'll give you half.
Okay, I appreciate it. We'll go to the Bahamas or something. Your daddy's treat.
Maddie,
Yeah.
you don't need more money. Just give it to Autumn. Ella.
I like that though. Like, normalize no. That's good.
Yeah, because we all know like respect is a huge like thing. Like, that is like the first thing that they teach you when you get into the business. Like, wipe your feet before you get in the ring. Like,
Shake the hand.
Shake
Yes,
the hands
ma'am.
and
No,
wipe the
ma'am.
feet.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. Like, normalize saying no, like, regardless of who it is, because those people really don't give a damn about you. I hate to be like that at the end of the day. So you have to have your own, like, you have to have your own back, because nobody else is going to.
We're gonna be famous now for that hashtag.
What?
We're gonna be famous now for that hashtag.
No, for real though.
And I literally wrote it right there.
So, like, kind of back to the whole handshake thing. Like, we're all taught like to shake hands and everything like that. And I'll see, like, I had an instance with one promotion coming out to do some stuff, and they didn't know any better because that's what they were taught. They were like, oh, when I see a female, like, they, you know, very loosely, like, very dainty tap your hand. And I'm like, shake my fucking hand. Like, like, shake my hand like I'm a man. Like, I want to be respected. I want you to treat me the same way. And I'm not blaming this guy because this is what someone in the wrestling industry told him. But that just goes to show you, like, how, like, just that small difference, how we're treated differently. And then also, like, it's just I don't even know how to explain it. It's just we're taken very lightly when, like, yes, we are females and we are feminine and we want to be feminine and we want to be respected, but we also we're athletes. We're also wrestlers. Like, anyone who gets in the ring and takes a bump, I think you could give them a firm handshake and they'll be okay. Like, just show us a little bit of more respect, I think, in that aspect. That's just something that personally just bothers me, but that's my rant.
Do you guys like ever, I don't know, like, I'm sure this happens to you guys, but this happens to me a lot. Like, do you guys ever like go into a locker room and shake people's hands, and then there's always that one guy that goes in for the hug that you don't know?
Yeah.
Like, he takes, or like, you'll be already in the locker room, like the only chick in there, and like he'll go and shake everybody's hands, and then when he sees you, he goes in for the hug. And it's like, don't touch me, please. Like, please don't touch me. Like, I want to just shake your hand like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, we really do get treated differently.
It's different if I know you. Like, you guys all know Cam. Like, when I see Cam, me and Cam are like friends. So like, he always like gives me a big hug, and that's fine. But like, if I don't know you and I'm coming to a locker room and you try to give me a hug, I'm just like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing.
Because I mean,
acknowledge you. Like, they'll shake everyone else's hands, like all the males. They just won't even acknowledge that you're standing.
yes.
Yeah, it's so
Oh my gosh.
It's so true.
Oh, that's so annoying. I think that's so crazy. it's just not even like a common courtesy. Like, even if I wasn't a wrestler, if you're greeting everyone else in a group, at least say hello. You don't have to shake my hand, whatever. Live your best life, coronavirus. But, like at least be like, hey, how's it going? Like, don't be like a dick and I'm not standing right there after you greeted every person.
Yeah, that has happened to me so many times. And like also like people don't like realize that I'm a wrestler. But like it like usually like it'll end up me being like, hi, like I'm Ella. Nice to meet you. Like I've literally like that's so insane because I've literally been in like a circle with people. Like and like some random like wrestler will come up and like shake every dude's hand and then literally skip over me. And I'm like, okay, it's fine, whatever.
And then they're shocked when they find out you're a wrestler.
Yep. Yes.
Like,
well,
that is
like
so
somebody's
degrading
girlfriend.
towards me. Like, you think I'm a girlfriend? Like, it's one thing if you don't know, like, who I am, that's fine. But when I do say, like, oh, yeah, like, I'm, like, whoever, well, I'm not whoever I am, I'm Madi Maxx, but, like, I'm so-and-so, and they're like, oh, my God, I had no idea you wrestled. Like, I thought you were someone's girlfriend. Don't say that. Just say, like, oh, wow, like, great to meet you, like, whatever. I don't know, like, that just irks me because I don't know, I didn't work to be booked on the show for you to, oh, I had no idea you were a wrestler. You look like someone's girlfriend. Like, thank you, I'm a girl. Yeah, I look like a girlfriend, but I'm not.
No.
Well, I am, but.
They
but
always think you're somebody's girlfriend. Like, they really do. And it's like.
Or a valet.
Like,
or the ring announcer.
Right.
Literally. And then that goes back to, oh, who did you sleep with to get here? So.
Yep.
Just saying, like, if you're not on the card, like, that's really, like, or if it's, like, a huge opportunity and, like, they don't know who you are, it always goes back to who are you sleeping with or, like, who did you come with type of thing. Like,
so, bitch. Just kidding.
Very good.
I think really does make me think of the fact, too, like, I think another issue we have is, like, the girlfriends of wrestlers, assuming that if we have a conversation with your boyfriend, we don't want him. Like, we can't have we already have, and we don't need other trying to, like, tear us down. We want your 57-year-old husband. So he's not. I'm having I can have a conversation with a guy or be friends with a guy and not want their penis inside of me. Like, it's a fun fact. Hope everyone knows that. Like, stop thinking or attacking or making a promotion feel like girls are separated from guys because these girls are trying to hit on my man. Nobody wants your man. Sit down.
Literally.
And sometimes it's not even you talk to them. You're just on the freaking show.
100%.
Yeah.
You're on a poster.
That is so freaking true. Oh my gosh.
And
like, I don't want your man.
Happens,
I don't know why you do either.
When that happens, like, if you're dating a wrestler, clearly you know that we're characters and it's scripted. So, like, if I do talk to your husband or your boyfriend, I'm not talking to them to like, what's up with your day? How are you? It's like, okay, so, like, what are you doing in your match so I don't do the same thing? Or, like, advice. Or maybe there's a freaking scene we have together. I don't know. Get over yourself, honey. If I want him, I can have him. I don't.
Period.
No, literally, like, it's men are sorry, but you can, we can have anybody, but like, I have had like things or like I've had like spots or whatever where like I'll have to like not like do sexual things, but like I always like go and ask the girlfriend or whoever, I'm like, is this okay? Like, if I do this, even if it's like I'm just gonna slap your man.
And
like, because I've had,
they should just honor the respect you're giving them.
Yeah.
Literally. But like, that's so true. And it's like, I'm not gonna like name names, but it was like, I like wrestled for this like promotion like in December. And like all these people were like bringing their girlfriends in and like they were all giving me dirty looks. And it's like you said earlier, I'm like, honey, like I don't want your man. And I don't want your man. And I don't know why you do either. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, like most of their men come and flirt with me. Like, I don't want your man. Like, and they always bring their girlfriends into the locker rooms and they always give like dirty looks. And it's like, baby girl, like, no, I don't want that.
You're jealous, don't. Period. Like, don't.
So really quick, you just brought up a point, Ella, that I was going to make. So the girlfriends in the locker room. First of all, why are the girlfriends in the locker room?
I have opinions about shows too.
Exactly.
And second, have any of y'all ever had this happen to me? And I'm just wondering if it's just me. Have any of y'all like had a spot with a guy who had a girlfriend at the show, and you had to do a spot, and the girl's like coming into the locker room and she finds out that you have to do a spot, and then it wants to know exactly what you're going to do, and like making sure that you're not doing anything inappropriate, and then making sure that, well, exactly how are you going to slap him? Like, are you going to like bitch slap
On the
him, or
face.
really slap him? Like,
Wherever I want.
And I might hit them for real. Just kidding.
Yeah, I
that's
feel
happened to me.
girlfriends are wild. They have a right to have an opinion about something they don't do. Like, if you're not on the show, your opinion is valid. Like, do not feel like when you go to a show because you're dating someone that, like, you deserve to be treated a certain way, or you my respect off the bat. Like, that's given, but, like, try to check me if you're not on the show. Because we're going to get checked so bad, I'm going to make it 10 times worse than it was going to be if you had just chilled out.
Also, like,
Yeah.
another point is like, sorry, I know I'm stuck on this, but like the guy's girlfriend could come into the locker room, right? But if we were to bring anybody outside of the locker room that like could be our mother, could be, you know, our sister, whatever, we're like shunned. Like, how dare you bring someone who's not in the wrestling world backstage? But yet you're bringing your girlfriend and letting her hear everything that goes on.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree. But another thing is like, it's just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you guys made this point, because I was like, I really thought I was the only one who had to like deal with like the girlfriends and stuff like that. But it's like, if you, point blank period, like regardless of what I'm doing with him, if you're like that upset or insecure that I'm like interacting with your man, then you don't need to be with him. Like, if you can't, like, if you can't trust him enough to be slapped and not like sleep with me afterwards, that's you. Like, that's really on you. But no, that's exactly right, because I'll never forget, like I said, like that one show. This is like where I really like witnessed it. Like, this homegirl like just came into the girls' locker room because we had our own little like room or whatever, and like she really thought that she like could be in there, and I literally was like, "Who are you?" And like, oh my gosh, like they really like always like just have something to say, like these girlfriends. And it's like, if I think I brought like my mom like into the back one time at a show, and they were like, "Do not bring anybody back here." And I'm like, this woman literally gave birth to me, like, and you're not gonna let her back here, but you're gonna let like the 125-pound like little girl who's screaming at me that you don't touch her boyfriend, you're gonna let her back here though.
Yeah, I was gonna say that we do, like we were talking earlier about, like, you get like a reputation because of lies people say. It's also like girlfriends have that same effect, like, because they're insecure, or even just girls at shows, if they're into a wrestler, like they're also just as guilty of starting rumors about people. Like, I messaged me saying like, you're doing stuff, and found out it was like the girlfriend saying it. Like, if you don't trust your man, and like, don't drag my name in the dirt because you have like a suspicion, you think your boyfriend's cheating on you, or like make me out to be like this dirty human being who's smashing everything because of a feeling you, like, that's like, you're supposed to be women. At the end of the day, even if your boyfriend is cheating on you with another wrestler, like, confront your man. Stop attacking women like it's everything's their fault.
All right, y'all. Well,
Do you have any final 30-second, 1 minute comment before you have to leave?
I would just say, like, I'm glad we did this. We're definitely not the only women in the business who feel this way, but I am glad we did this in a panel-like way where we were able to bounce off each other, because, like I said, we're 4 wrestlers from different parts of the wrestling business who clearly notice the same things within the business, who have different backstories that brought us where we are now, but still relate on this topic of men thinking that we are there for them and we're just not. So I guess my final words would be, if you do watch this, normalize no, for one.
Normalize no.
Hashtag.
And 2, like, you can reach out to anyone on this. You can reach out to any woman in the business. And there are some guys out there like Zane Riley. They're great guys. You're not alone. So, like, if you do need someone, don't feel afraid to reach out, because I know when I first started, there wasn't someone I knew I could go to, but now I think it's the new normal that women have each other's back. So I would just say, like, don't be afraid to come to anyone. Don't be afraid to share your story, because you might be sharing the story of yourself and helping a million other people, or you might be the only one, but still you are saving the next one. So I think women's wrestling is going in the right direction. I think us coming together as women wrestlers is amazing, and I think we have made great progress, and that we are going to make incredible progress in the future. And the next generation of women who come in, and just wrestlers in general, it's going to be better for them, and the whole industry as a whole is going to be better.
No. Okay, Maddie. Period, though.
All right, Maddie.
That was good.
I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you joining.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It was great talking to you guys. I haven't seen you all in forever. Can't wait till this stuff is over. But you all have my contact, so I'll send you money.
Great.
Yes.
We'll talk about the Bahamas trip later.
Yeah.
I'll text you about
Bye,
it.
y'all.
Bye,
All
Maddie.
right, have a good night. Okay, and we're down to 3.
I did have one point that Maddie did say that I want to say, like, I hope this doesn't, like, we're not on here to shame guys and like, we hate men and all men suck. Like we say, there are guys that we trust in the industry, there are good guys in the business, but a majority of, like I said, we've touched on that girl start rumors too, but a majority of our, I guess, suffering is due to men. So it's not saying that we all guys and we think we're trash bags and we hate you all, blah, blah, blah. I think a lot of us, we trust you to give us a reason not to, and the moment you do, we'll be the first one to talk about it. So if you're taking offense to what we're saying, it's probably because you're one of the trash bags acting like a fool and your feelings are hurt. But I'm sure people watching this who know that they're a good person and know they help women will take no offense. But I just wanted to clear that out. We're not saying men suck and we hate all of you, just the trash bag ones.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I don't want anybody to like watch this who has been there for me, because like the people that I have like trained with, like some of them are not good, but other ones like LeBron Cozone has always had my back. That man will go above and beyond to make sure the women who represent his like company, or even not, like just female in general, like he goes above and beyond to make sure you feel safe and that you are getting that same respect. And that's one thing I've always loved, because he's always treated me just like everybody else. So yeah, but I really like that, because I said, I don't want these people to like, or these guys who are watching this to be like, oh my gosh, like Ella, like stop being a bitch. Like I've always had your back. And like, just know, like, I really do appreciate like everybody that has like always had my back. But I feel like the people that have mostly like had my back are honestly the 2 people on this panel right now, other than me. Sorry, John, but but yeah, you guys, especially when that whole incident happened at one of those shows where that guy felt like he could just come talk to me like that. That wasn't even on the show.
Wasn't even anything involved in that show.
He wasn't.
No, but they always have opinions. So
yeah, always. And I'll never forget like just being scared, because it's like, going back on the whole respecting, it's like, what do I say? Like, I don't want to tell him off, like, because that's what I would do if I wasn't at a wrestling show. Like, I would have been like, who do you think you are, first off? But it's just, I was very like thankful to have you guys in that situation, to stick up for me and be like, hey, like, you just can't come back here and talk to her like that, like, or anybody for that matter. Like, it was just ridiculous. Like, I'll never forget Hayden being like, sisters have to stick up for each other. And I'm like, period.
That's what I'm saying. It's important to, like, even if I don't know you, if you are at a show, we're wrestling, and you feel like that someone has made you uncomfortable, has spoken you out of line, do tell me, because I'm not afraid to stand up for that girl. And a lot of the girls are here for each other, even if I don't know. Like, I think that was me and Ella's like really seeing each other, and I was willing to fist fight a grown man for her. So it's a thing of like, don't be afraid to reach out to your sisters in wrestling, because most of the time we're here for you. Like, want feel comfortable. Even if I don't know you, like, I have your back, and again, you give us a reason not to, but if you're still uncomfortable, don't be afraid to tell someone, because 9 out of 10 times they'll say something or have your back or even support you and come with you to approach a situation or have a conversation.
And it is like your situation in particular, Ella, was a little bit challenging because you didn't want to make your school look bad by causing a scene, but me and Kaitlyn aren't affiliated with that school. So
I even remember Ozone was like, I waited till the show ended. Please don't hit me. And he said, handle your business. Like you say, Kozone has your back. He doesn't stand for you being like talking away either. So again, I'm not saying to make a huge scene and be like during a show because you don't want that, but like
After the show, though.
no, parking lot conversations. Like have
I mean, not to call out whoever did that, but I mean, yeah, I didn't want to make a scene during the show, but this man literally came to the back and like started screaming at me in front of everybody, first off, and in front of fans, and like it was ridiculous. Like,
and that's the best part is he's so irrelevant, but his head was so elevated that because he's the man and he has maybe has done a show or two before, or however many, doesn't matter. He felt like he had the right to talk to someone like that. And again, let me just make this clear. Alcohol or whatever your drug of choice is not an excuse to talk to people out of lines or behave bad. And I don't just mean this at wrestling shows. Like, again, my situation that happened with me didn't even happen at a wrestling show. It happened at a wrestling party. And just because you're in a certain, like, if you're at a convention or if you're out, alcohol and drugs or whatever doesn't give you an excuse. At the end of the day, if you're not a terrible person, when you drink, you still won't want to do terrible things to women. So that's still a reflection of you. Stop using that as an excuse, like, oh, I was drunk, or oh, I would never do that sober. Like, but you did it. So just own your shit and get help if you need it. But stop using stuff like that as an excuse. Oh, I only said that stuff because I was drinking. Well, then don't drink, or don't.
If you can't handle it, then don't do it. Because I don't feel bad for you at the end of the day. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I said what I said.
Right. Period. Hello.
Like, it's also funny to me, like, as I was recalling it, that at that show, when that instance happened, and this isn't anything against anyone, I think they were all kind of in shock, but the two, like, me and Kaitlyn were the first people to, like, react and be like, what the fuck just happened? And then, like, I just see Kaitlyn going out, and then I'm going out. And then obviously once the guys like kind of process what happened, they're like, oh, what the hell? And then, but I think that just goes to show you how close like women wrestlers are, because we know that we have to defend each other, because not that there are not good guys out there. There's obviously a lot of guys out there that will protect us, but we also know that we're going to have to stand up for ourselves, because we may be the only ones that will. And that's point blank as far as I can say it, because, and I think that's kind of just goes to show you that if one wrestler has experienced that, like in your situation, Ella, and me and Kaitlyn reacted the way we did, it's probably because we've had something like that happen to us, and that's a trigger for us, and we're going to go off on somebody. So that just goes, I mean, it's sad that we've come to this point that we're just waiting for someone to say something so that we can attack, but we have to defend ourselves, and that's just what it comes down to.
No, yeah, I mean, the world we live in, like, we have to be defensive all the time. Because, like I said, like, when you let your guard down and stuff like that, like, not obviously, like, all the time, but for me, like, usually, like, when I let my guard down or I'm, like, put in, like, these, like, vulnerable situations, like, I get taken advantage of. So we have to be defensive all the time. And, like, also, I feel like 9 times out of 10, like, these people who think that they're, like, you know, all that in a bag of chips, like, when they say something, like, they don't think that you're going to say anything back. Like, or at least, like, that's how I felt like it was in that situation for me at that show when that guy went off on me. Like, he didn't think that anything was going to happen. Like, he thought he was going to, you know, come yell at me, get his dick wet, and then, like, leave. Like, and then, like, I feel like I said, like, 9 times out of 10, like, if you're like, no, like, we're not doing this, then they're going to be like, okay.
And there's a difference between having a conversation and, like, coming into something, planning an argument. Like I said, I've had moments where I've gotten into it with people, and I always go into a situation ready to have just a normalized conversation. But sometimes it takes you acting up for people to realize, like, you're not the one. And like I said, even with this whole conversation, I think we're all pretty open. Like, if guys have questions, if something they're doing is appropriate, we are more than happy to have that conversation with you and tell you if you've done something to us or if what you're doing is wrong. We're afraid to have these conversations. When you come at us, like, just trying to prove that you have the biggest dick in the room, like, we have no problems with that. And again, that goes back to, like, like I say, at the end of the day, if I never get booked again, or if I never wrestle or whatever, like, at least I know that I always stood up for myself. I always stood up for my friends, and I stood up with what I believe in. And like you said, that's another thing I think a lot of guy wrestlers, why they don't say it, they're more worried about their careers than they are of, like, who they are as a person. But when your career is over, like, you're gonna be known as a guy who either talked to women inappropriately, touched women inappropriately, or allowed stuff like that to happen and didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Your mom that, so do it for your, be a good person for your mom.
Do it for your mom or your future daughter or your, like, third cousin that is a female. Like,
yep.
Literally. Oh my gosh. But no, that was good. Sorry, I feel like my mind keeps going blank. Like, we'll, like, say something and then I'll be like, that's a really good idea, and then I'll be like, oh shoot, what did I just say? Or like, oh, what was I just thinking? It's just with these conversations, it's like you say one thing and it's like you can relate so much that your mind just goes this. There's just so much to be talked about, like, in this.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to go back on what you're saying, like, I'm gonna be honest with you, like, I don't want to work for anybody that doesn't respect me, or that that makes me feel uncomfortable. Like, I don't care about the bookings. Like, I don't want to work for you. I honestly don't even want to be associated with you if you view me as an object. Yep. And like I said, like, normalize saying no. Like, we need to normalize that in wrestling. Like respect obviously is a huge thing in wrestling, but when I give you respect and it's not reciprocated, don't expect me to sit there and be that good little girl that just, like, yes sir, yes sir. Like, no, like, respect is a two-way street, and that's what I feel like a lot of people don't really, like, realize or, like, take into consideration in wrestling either. Like, we need to normalize being respected and normalize saying no when you're not respected or you're uncomfortable.
Yep.
So, rambling period.
Did whatever happened, was that in Greensboro or was it somewhere else?
Yeah, so that was in Greensboro. Sorry, I know we were just, like, the three of us were obviously there, so we're all like, yeah.
Well, and
like,
I understand that you're trying not to name names either.
No, it's okay.
Which is why
but
I
yes,
didn't bring anything up.
that happened in Greensboro, at a show in March, and an incident happened, and this guy freaked out.
March would have been the show in the bar, right?
It was the show in the bar, yes. So, Kaitlyn, do you think that I could, like, say what happened, or do you think it would just be, like, best if I was like...
So we did a spot where I chugged a beer in a match, and I poured some on Ella. Not in Ella's mouth. Ella did not drink, did not consume.
I didn't even hold the beer.
No, like, she didn't touch the beer. Like, the beer was literally just poured on her.
Like, my chest and, like, a little bit of my hair.
Yeah, like, nowhere now. So if a guy who thinks he's relevant with a bowl cut decided that oh, I'm coming, baby. He decided, again, I wasn't around, but what I heard is that she was outside with other wrestlers and with some fans walking by, and he went out there just yelling at her, cursing at her, calling her out of her name, telling her, like, what you did is illegal. You guys are going to jail. This place get ticketed. I know the law. I have a family friend, uncle, second cousin who works at a liquor store. Some, like, weird, like,
yeah, like, it was so irrelevant. I was like, okay.
He was like, I know the law because I work at Best Buy.
Yeah, like,
that's literally what he said.
Something like that.
Literally what he said.
And I found Ella. Obviously, Ella was upset because who wouldn't be? Like, that's more.
I was embarrassed, like, really embarrassed, like, he screamed at me.
And especially because this person was not involved in the show, was there as a fan. Like, I don't even think he's that related to the school in any way or anything.
He used to be, but like not really anymore. Like nobody knew that man was coming.
I didn't even know the man, period.
I mean, I didn't either before that.
I heard Ella, she told me what had happened, and I was hot immediately because, again, I've had men in the business feel like they can talk to me a certain way. I'm the quickest to call them out. So respecting the show, respecting the place we were at, because, of course, they let us have our show there, I waited until the show was over, again, got Cozone's blessing to address it, and went up to him and said the way he handled it was completely inappropriate. He had a problem. He could have gone to Cozone and said, hey, I just don't think you guys should do that spot. Or he could have, just even if he felt the need to talk to Ella, handled it so much differently. And of course, this guy had a few drinks and was getting in my face, trying to like shove me, which I'm a big bitch. You're not going to push me. It doesn't work. And just like try to make it a thing about the way I look. He's like, well, I think he called me like a fat bitch on the way out or something like that. Because he realized the point he was making was invalid. And even if it wasn't valid, the way he going about it was not okay. So I think that's another thing. Like, guys just feel like every opinion they have is correct. And no matter what you say, you're wrong. And when I pulled up facts, the law, and everything I did, he felt dumb and then just felt like, oh, well, if I can't get them there, let me just attack you and your appearance. But baby, I'm the one booked on the show. You're not. So this big body bitch was on the show. You weren't. Your opinion was invalid and incorrect. And don't talk to girls and things
and unneeded, like not asked for at all.
Like, no point of saying it.
And then his girlfriend, I don't know if it was his girlfriend, some other woman was standing there trying to defend him, and then she got involved, and then she stood up to me and started yelling at me. So this is kind of going back to the point that I'm talking about with the girlfriends or the friends or whatever that you want to call them. Like, getting involved in something that has absolutely nothing to do with it.
They just always, like, I've just, like, noticed in wrestling, like, people always, like, just put their 2 cents in, like it's needed or something. Like, it just, like, it wasn't even asked for. But, yeah, I remember that. And I'll never thank you guys enough for sticking up for me because, like, in that situation, like, I was embarrassed and I was scared. Like, honestly, like, I really was. Because this man is, like, screaming in my face. He's like, you could get this whole place shut down. And it's like, oh, my gosh. Like, I knew my laws and he had me questioning them. I was like, whoa. Like he really had me questioning, like, my entire life there. And, like, it was insane. But I remember when Kaitlyn went up to talk to him, and, like, I don't want anybody to watch this and be like, oh, like, y'all were talking about being defensive earlier, like, maybe you shouldn't have talked to him like that. Like, no, like, Kaitlyn went up to him very calmly after the show, first off, and after he had made me sob in the back. Like, this man was ruthless, and he was like, you're facing all these charges, like, screaming at me in front of fans and, like, all my friends and stuff like that. Like, I'll never forget Michael Spencer even being like, dude, chill. Like, literally chill. But, like, to go back on that, it's like, I remember watching, like, Kaitlyn confront him, and this man went from 0 to 60, like, in no freaking time, started calling her fat pig, literally trying to bulk up on Kaitlyn like she wouldn't punch him dead in the face.
Yeah, and it's like if you have a conversation, then don't even, like, I was literally went up to him and was like, hey, I heard you had a concern about a spot in a match. Like, what's the issue? And then if you have an opinion, like, you're okay to have that, but next time maybe talk to the promoter. And again, it was just, well, you're, again, what she said, like, you're getting this place shut down, and again, throwing laws and facts, because I am an educated woman, believe it. And
we've all been through college, like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was, again, just like, guys, like, when their egos attacked, like, they to, like, again, he, like, verbally assaulted me, and I didn't even need to, like, call him. I never even called him out of the best part. Like, I never once was like, you're this or that. Like, you call me a bitch, you can call me fat, you want, but at the end of the day, you're making yourself look stupid. And then when he tried to, like, up and, like, try to, like, I don't know if he was trying to fight or whatever it was, but, like,
it wouldn't have been much of a fight.
Yeah, it was just, like, it was so stupid. You're making yourself look an idiot, and you're, like, I don't know what goes through a man who's like, oh, this fight a woman because not speak to a woman, call her out of her name, and like be respectful. Like, it's just wild that guys feel like it's appropriate. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, but like to reel this back into like this panel and stuff, like I truly felt like this man came and like said all these things to me because he felt like he could get away with it. Like I wasn't gonna do anything because I'm a girl. Because
he would have never said it to a guy.
If this was Cam Carter who did the spot with, let's say, like Jack or something who's, you know, underage, like, or Malachi, or just somebody who's not 21, like he would have handled it so much differently. Like so much differently. Like I feel like I really can say that like with confidence. Like he would have been like, yo, Cam, like, what's that? Or he would have turned his head and minded his freaking business.
Yeah, he wouldn't have said anything at all. That's the point. He wouldn't have said anything.
It's just, it's crazy. Like that. So like, that's why I was just like, this is what I'm saying. Like people really do think that they can just talk to you a certain way and like get away with it and just things like that. And like, not even like, I do believe that he like felt like he could talk to me about that because I was a woman, but like, regardless if I'm a man, woman, or whatever I identify to be as, you don't talk to people like that. And going back to the locker room, like keep people who are not on the show out of the back, because I know homegirl here, homegirl there, and me, we all abide by that, and we try to respect everybody, and we would just we expect the same kind of like we just expect the same back. Like it's insane. It's insane. Like don't come talk to me if you're not on the show. Like I didn't even know who this man was or like how he was affiliated with this like school or at all. Like it was just ridiculous.
Ugh. Yep.
And that was the story.
That's the story.
That's the full story. Okay. All right. I guess we can go to like any final thoughts anybody has, and then I can bring it to a close unless you have any more things you want to bring up. I'll keep the recording going for as long as you want to be on.
The last thing I just want to say is, like, if anyone actually watched this, my takeaway point is guys need to hold other guys accountable for what they do and what they say. Keep the girlfriends out of the back and just treat us as equals. Shake my hand, say hello to me. Don't make sexual comments. Don't tell me I need to show more skin because I wear pants and I want to be treated as an actual wrestler, not necessarily just like that's just me as a person. I've always been a very conservative person. And so that comes out when I'm wrestling. I cover myself up. It's not that I have anything against women who don't. It's just for me, that's not what I like. And for you to come out and tell me that I should do something that I'm not comfortable with doing, you know, it's just trying to sexualize me. And you're saying basically I'm not going to make money unless I show my skin. And that's my biggest complaint from that aspect, besides the comments and the touching and the, God, Kaitlyn, what was it? That one guy blew us up like 25 times in one night, just trying if I don't answer you, it's not because I'm being a jerk. It's because I don't even know, like, I'll have a conversation. Like, you can ask, like, I'm sure if people see this on my feed, like, if you send me a message, 9 times out of 10, like, I'll reply, like, hey, how are you? How are you doing? You know, like, I think us as wrestlers, like, we want to have that interaction with our fans. But then there comes a point where, like, you're taking advantage of this conversation and you're trying to go down another road that I don't want to go down. But then when we stop talking to you, you get upset. And you don't take the hint and you just keep going. Like Maddie said, like, you get all kinds of pictures and text, and Kaitlyn's had phone calls and just stuff like that. Like, take the social cue and stop feeling like we deserve, or you deserve something from us. And that's honestly what I feel like it feels like as a female wrestler. Like, I'm supposed to give myself to these people. Like, they're owed something. Like, these guys are owed something because they pay money to see me. Like, and I appreciate that you pay money to see me.
And I want to have that interaction with you. I want to have that fan wrestler moment. But when it comes to outside of wrestling, like, I don't know you. Like Ella said, like, we're playing a character. I don't know you outside of work, outside of wrestling. So, like, be respectful of the fact that you don't know me as a person. And it's just, I don't even know what to say. Like, just be respectful of that fact and understand that there are boundaries. I think that's the biggest point of this whole conversation, is understanding that there are boundaries with female wrestlers that get crossed on the fan end and on the wrestling end. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
No, that was good. I think honestly the same. I think literally everything that she said. Also, we don't owe you anything. We're paid to do a job, and we come in and we do it. We don't owe anybody our body. We don't owe anybody that, like, we don't need to feel uncomfortable just so you can, like, get a picture, you can feel satisfied. Like, we don't owe you anything. We come and we wrestle. That's how we entertain you. We don't entertain you by, like, giggling when you, like, whisper dirty things into our ears, like, when you're taking pictures. But Hayden, I think that was a really, really good point. Like, everything you just said, like, read the room, like, stop making people uncomfortable, and normalize no. Just normalize no. And just so you know, it's okay. Hashtag normalize no. And just so you know, it is okay to be uncomfortable. It is okay. And, like, you're not a bitch. You're not a prude. You're not any of these things that these guys will tell you. Like, normalize saying no. And that's it from LNB.
I think I have, like, notes I've been writing as we talk, and I think, like, the biggest points I took away was, one, like, in the wrestling in general, create more opportunities for women. Like, you don't have to, like, cut your card off at one women's match. Like, oh, we hit our quota, we don't need to. Like, we competing just as much as the men with limited opportunities, and I feel like that is making it harder for us. So I think if you really want to help women's wrestling, create more opportunities for women to wrestle. Again, the big thing, just have respect for us. Like, again, I give respect to everyone who gives me respect. And we're not asking for you to go above and beyond. We're asking for you to just give mutual respect. And also just the acceptance of all women wrestlers. Like, don't just be kind to the women wrestlers you find attractive, or don't just stand up for the women wrestlers that you think you, like, would want to sleep with. Like, have that same acceptance. Like, this girl should be because she's a good wrestler, not because she looks good in her gear, or it may not look like Hayden says, she covers up more where I'm comfortable and I show up more, like, treated or viewed or spoken about any differently, than I think that's my biggest things: opportunities, respect, and just accept us and let us know we're not going anywhere. We're gonna stay. So just make it easier for yourself.
Period.
Cool.
All right. So that's about an hour and a half's worth of really good conversation that I think we've had here tonight. I appreciate everybody being on the call. Hope to see all of you again at a show. And for everybody that has listened, we appreciate you listening. And we hope to see you at the show too.